you? Hi, hi, hi. Hope you're well. Hope you're strong. Hope you're awake. Hope you're awake. Hope you're awake. Hope you're good. Hope you're awake. Hope you're good. Hope you're good. Hope you're amazing. I just finished reading The Old Man and the Sea. The Old Man and the Sea. It's a relatively quick read. About 150 pages on Kindle. It says 75, but like you have to read 2 pages for it to count as one. So it's 150. So around that length. And yeah, it was good. It was very interesting. It's my first experience with Ernest Hemingway's work. I wasn't sure what to expect. Yeah, I was pleased. I enjoyed the journey. It's a very interesting story. And I'll talk about it. I will be discussing the whole story, so you know, spoiler alerts. It's a very old book though. Yeah, anyway. Basically, it's about an old man who's a fisherman, and I don't know if they mentioned the fishing village he's from. I believe the story is set in the United States, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they mention any of that, but they talk about a lot of American culture, like baseball, like a particular famous American baseball players. They reference that sort of stuff. Anyway, it's not really relevant to the core of the story anyway. He's very unlucky when it comes to fishing. He goes out in his boat, he doesn't really catch anything, whereas other people are always catching fish. And he has this young boy who goes out with him, who enjoys spending time with him at sea. Even though the old man doesn't really catch anything, the boy is loyal. And he feels bad for the old man. He's like, I want you to catch something and I'm going to do that. But, oh wait, I'm forgetting. The boy's father eventually says, you need to stop hanging out with that old man. So the boy isn't allowed to hang out with the old man anymore. But he still likes the old man and helps him in whatever way he can. Still brings him stuff and still says hello to him and all these sort of things. And then one day the old man just goes out by himself to catch fish as usual. And he notices was it multiple birds or just one bird? I can't remember. By the way, I started reading this yesterday, so these details should be fresh in my mind. So yeah, some of the details are escaping me, but basically he saw like a bird or multiple birds. I think it was like one bird that was circling, like it was trying to attack some fish. So he followed it and it took his boat further and further away from the shore. And he cast out his line with bait, and he was trying to catch some fish. And eventually, something bit the bait, took the bait, started dragging his boat out. But it was a very powerful, very heavy fish, and it just kept dragging and dragging and dragging and dragging until he couldn't see the shore anymore. Like he was so far out into the sea, he didn't even know where he was. And it becomes this massive test of endurance. I believe it lasts like a day and a half or so, where he's constantly challenged to hold on to the fish and not let go. He has to be very vigilant so that he doesn't lose this massive catch. Along the way, he ends up killing, I believe he kills a dolphin. He kills some other fish and eats them while he's still holding on to this line. And it's brutal, it's cutting his hand. It's making him tired. He has to swap hands. His left hand cramps on him. There's a particular part where he's casting out his left hand. Just saying, why are you so useless? You need to serve me well. He even goes as far as to say, I hope you get cut off while I'm trying to hold on to this fish or something like that. Because you're being so useless, you're betraying me. My left hand, use for it. But at this point, he's becoming delirious. He's so tired, he's so frustrated. So he's saying things he doesn't mean. And he even admonishes himself. He's like, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean by chanting? But anyway, it is a long journey for him. He's very tiring. He starts thinking a lot about his past and things that went through. He had a flashback when he was arm wrestling a Negro. That's the word they used. He was arm wrestling a black man, and he won the contest that lasted I think a day, several hours, 8 hours. I don't know how long it lasted. It was a long arm wrestling match. They had to keep swapping referees because it went on for so long. And he eventually won that contest of endurance against this Negro. And I believe that was an allegory for his endurance, his resilience, his willingness to persevere through hardship. Allegory, like an example, like a reference for it. So he's talking to this fish while it's dragging him out, and he's like, I hope you get tired. He gets to the point where he's like, I'm so tired, I don't even know if I'm going to survive this. I don't even care if I die or you die. One of us is going to die. I'm not... Let the best man win is kind of his mentality. Let the best creature win. And he's very impressed by it. It's very dignified. It's very resilient. So he's like, you know what? You deserve to live. So if you kill me instead of me killing you, I'm fine with that. That's where he's at mentally. Becomes a war of attrition where they're wearing each other down. Eventually the fish gets tired and begins to circle his boat, and he gets a harpoon and he stabs it in the heart. He stabs it in the heart and he kills it. And he's very respectful of this fish because it put up such a formidable challenge. And he views it as a friend. He says multiple times, I love this fish, you're my brother. We went through so much together. I respect you. You really put up a fight. You're worthy. And when I take you back to my town or my village, whatever, they're not worthy of your meat because who's worthy of your meat? Pause. Pause. But, you know, like, these humans are going to be, like, feasting on your flesh, but no one deserves them because you're so dignified. You're such a magnificent beast. But I had to do it. I had to catch you. I had to kill you so I can sell your flesh. He's poor. He's very poor. He needs the money. And this is how he makes his living. He's a fisherman. He was born to, he says in the story, he was born to be a fisherman, just like certain fish were born. All fish were born to be fish. This is his life. So he kills this humongous fish. He can't believe how big it is. And he basically ties it to his boat. It can't fit in his boat, it's too big. He has to like strap it on the side and then just sail with it. But the issue is it's bleeding out, so it starts to attract sharks. So one shark comes and bites a chunk, but then he manages to kill it with his harpoon. He stabs it in the brain. But then it takes like 40 pounds of flesh. And then two sharks come and kills those, but then they take flesh as well. One eats its underside, and then another comes in. And then eventually nighttime comes, and then there's like a horde of sharks. What do you call them? Group of sharks, I don't know. A whole bunch of sharks come, but it's night now, and he can't see anything, and he tries to attack. I believe in one of the previous attacks during the day, his knife actually broke, so he no longer has a knife. Like his harpoon is useless for whatever reason. I don't remember what happened, but basically he runs out of weapons and all he has is a club. So now he's just beating the sharks, but it's dark and you can't see anything. And by the time that group of sharks is done, they've already secured that humongous fish bare. And eventually he just stops caring. He's like, oh, they've won. I did all this work for nothing. Well, that's the thing. Basically, he gets back to shore, and all that's left is a carcass. All that's left is a carcass. The boy finds him lying in his shack, because he stays in a shack. A young boy that he has this relationship with. The young boy had been waiting for him, checking, like going to his shack to check if he's returned every morning, checking, like, where's this guy? And then finally he checks one morning and the old man is lying on the floor. He doesn't really have a bed. He has a bed, but it's rudimentary. He lives in a shack. He's very poor. And the boy's crying, and then finally he comes back. They have a conversation, catching up, yada yada, telling the story. And the villagers, the townspeople, I don't know if it's a village or a town, whatever. They were worried too, and there was a search party that was sent out. I believe they sent out planes and stuff. That's what they said, right? I don't know if it was a helicopter or whatever. But they sent out a search party to go look for him. So the people were concerned about him, you know. He's known amongst the community, and people care about him. And they were inspecting this carcass that was strapped to his boat, and they were measuring it, and they were amazed. They were, oh my gosh, what is this? But he's kind of over it, like, you can like take bits and pieces of the head and use it for bait, I guess, and whatnot. And there's some tourists who are asking about the fish, like, what is that? And then the story just kind of ends with him just being back in town, and I guess it's just business as usual from there on. The story just kind of ends with him just being back in town. And I was just thinking about that, like, okay, what was the moral of the story? I'm like, what am I supposed to learn here? Sometimes these open-ended conclusions or whatever invite you to ponder, invite you to question things. But to me, it's like, I guess the gist of it is the beauty's in the journey, not the destination. And just because you didn't get the result you wanted, it doesn't mean you didn't get anything at all. You know, this is a guy who has been dealt a bad hand multiple times. He views himself as unlucky, but he's actually very determined. He's a very determined man. He's very hardworking man. He's very resilient. And people respect him. People love him. He has a great mindset, which is what allowed him to catch that fish in the first place. He had many opportunities to give up, and he never gave up. So he's a very strong individual mentally. And physically too, because there's no small feat to catch that fish. But sometimes the heroics of life aren't in the end results of our labor, but in the process of endurance, of pursuing that end goal. That's when we show what we're made of, and we learn a lot about ourselves, about life, and we can inspire others to, you know, the other fishermen knew what had happened. They saw the carcass. They knew he had come from afar. The boy had seen his hand. The boy started crying when he saw the old man's hands, because they were like cut and bleeding, and because he'd been holding this fishing line, trying to make sure that the fish doesn't escape. And it had been burning his hands and cutting it. Like he'd been through a lot. And he'd been pulled, and had his head had hit the side of the boat, and so he was bleeding his head as well. He went through a lot trying to catch this fish. People knew that he'd been through a lot. The evidence was there, the carcass was there. I talked about how the people measured, oh my gosh, what is this? One of the final scenes in the story is when, I believe they're tourists or something, at a coffee shop, who saw the carcass on the harbor or whatever, asking, like, what is that? And the person serving them explains, sharks got it, or whatnot. So people knew what happened. They put two and two together. So, you know, even if you feel like your actions are not being noticed, your work is not being noticed, people notice. People see what you're going through. And you never know who you're inspiring. So even if you didn't get what you wanted out of that situation, you might get other things, you might inspire people, you might learn valuable lessons. You lead to all sorts of things, so it wasn't for nothing, you know. But yeah, I feel that this is something you read again, and then you learn more as you're reading again. You start to notice different things, different details. He kept dreaming about these lions in Africa, because once upon a time he'd sailed to Africa. They'd sail along the coastline and you'd see lions on the shore. He kept having dreams about that time in his past where he saw lions, and I wonder what the lions symbolize, if they do symbolize anything. But yeah, there's a lot I might have missed out on in terms of symbolism. But that's what you say for the second weekly, I guess. But yeah, that was Old Man and the Sea. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that as my first Ernest Hemingway book. It was good. So maybe I'll check out the rest of his work. Anyway, you let me know what you think in the comments. I like to pray at the end of my video, so get from the God, the person who you want, this one, nothing for me, from the whole, and you can go on and go to Jesus' prayer and purpose. Bless this person with wonderful, wonderful love, and take care of them, and bless the best of them. Thank you for making us for there to do the same thing. Thank you for blessing this person with love and marriage, and sustaining the love and marriage, and making them very happy. Thank you for blessing this person with the spirit of gratitude, so they can give thanks for the wonderful things in their life, and they give thanks and find peace, continue and attract even more blessings. Let your presence be felt in this person's life so much. Oh God, let your love and yours be there for them. Good health, long life, and happiness for this person and everyone I care about. In my name, I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.